I'm Lucas T. Shad, licensed architect in Livingston, Montana.
I'm William Hicks, licensed architect in Litchfield, Minnesota.
Today we're going to talk about one of the most important parts of a building, the doors. So today, good architecture means knowing all the parts of a door. This is a three-part series on doors because there's a lot of things to talk about with doors. So today we're going to talk about knowing the basic anatomy of a door, what the parts are called, how big the holes are, and from what dimension. So let's jump right into it. We've got a drawing of a standard two-panel door here, and what that refers to is this and this are called panels. So a two-panel door obviously has two of those. The pieces of wood that go from the bottom of the door to the top on the latch and hinge side are called stiles. And that's stile with an I. This piece of wood that runs from this stile to this stile, from the hinge to the rail, or from the hinge stile to the latch stile, is called a rail. This one happens to be called a bottom rail. This guy on top, from stile to stile, is called a top rail. And the rail that is in the middle of the door, or closest to where the lock goes, is often referred to as the lock rail. Right. So then on a standard door, the hole that gets bored in the door is typically it has 2 1/8 inch diameter, and the distance from the outside of the door to the center of this hole is either 2 3/8 or 2 3/4. And really what that comes down to is when you're making that determination, do you want a 2 3/8 or 2 3/4 back set, this is what that dimension is called. Usually what you think about is, are you going to put a knob or a lever on the door? A lever pushes your hand farther away from where the door latches, so you wouldn't hit your knuckles on the jamb. If you have a knob, I would like to have that farther away from the latch. A lever can get closer to the latch because your hand is farther away. So basically, if you're using a knob, do a 2 3/4 back set. If you're using a lever, you can do either one because a 2 3/8 won't hurt your hand. Another consideration is the dimension of the stile. If this dimension is about 5 or 5.5 inches, a 2 3/4 back set centers the hardware on the stile, which can look pretty nice. So there's some considerations. Those are things to think about when you're picking out your door hardware and making a determination on what style of door you want to. Now there's lots of different styles of doors, but basically that's the very basic anatomy of a door.
Just remember as well, if you've got a real narrow stile and the hardware you're picking out has a wider plate, you may want to go with the smaller back set just to keep it from getting too close to where the lock rail and the stile intersect for aesthetics.
Right, so that just means the plate on the actual lever or knob, possibly if the plate is larger, it may go over and go onto your panel which would not be attractive. So again, it's just like all the other videos. Think about coordination. What's the next thing to think about? What's the next level of interaction?
Right. When you're picking out your door hardware, as you're speccing and doing your door schedules and hardware schedules, just keep in mind that you have to coordinate all of that as you're laying all those things out so you don't have issues in the field.
There you go. I think that's the basic anatomy of a door.
Right.
Thanks. I'm Lucas T. Shedd, licensed architect in Livingston, Montana.
I'm William Hicks, licensed architect in Litchfield, Minnesota.
Remember, always hire an architect and put box shells on every electrical junction box. Thanks.
Thanks.